Hello everyone, this is our discussion for accounting for income tax. So, hindi po ito yung kagaya ng discussion sa income taxation yung subject. This is more on reconciliation of the financial accounting profit with that of the taxable profit. And ano yung paano natin ito nire-record sa books of the organization or the business. Okay, so our objectives for today is to distinguish between accounting income and taxable income. We describe permanent differences and temporary differences. We recognize and measure deferred tax asset and deferred tax liability. Okay? Yun po yung ating goal for today. Okay? So, hindi ba kayo nagtataka bakit para magkaiba yung dinideclare na profit sa BIR with that of yung actual profit na dinideclare sa financial statement. Okay? This is because magkaiba kasi yung standard na ginagamit nila. With BIR, we know that we are following the train law, or in this case, the create law, okay, in declaring our income, our revenues, na nilalagay sa income tax returns with that of the financial income. Iba kasi ginagamitan natin siya ng PFRS. And we're also using accrual basis of accounting with financial accounting, unlike with BIR. Mostly, kung titingnan mo yung transactions nila, they are using cash basis. Okay, so let's differentiate accounting income from taxable income. So, accounting income, this is the net income for the period before deducting income tax expense. So, this is a financial income. And this appears in the financial statements natin, specifically the statement of financial performance, okay? And computed in accordance with accounting standards. Okay? As mentioned kanina. Okay? Taxable income naman po is income for the period determined through the rules followed in taxation. Okay? So, this appears in your income tax return. So, alam natin maraming income tax return, yung sa employees, yung sa self-employed, bukod pa yun sa corporation, bukod pa yung percentage tax, bukod pa yung VAT, you can check the BIR website kung gaano kadami yung ginagamit na financial, na BIR forms. Okay? Yan. And then we have two differences between accounting and taxable income. Dalawa po yung differences na makikita po natin sa kanila. That is, we have permanent difference and we have the temporary difference. Yung permanent difference, siya daw yung difference between the accounting and taxable income na never mai-include in the other. Ibig sabihin, kapag nasa sa computation siya ng accounting income, never siya mapapapunta sa taxable income, and vice versa. Okay? It will appear in either accounting income, computation of accounting income, or taxable income, but never included in the other. Okay? So, ang example po nito is non-taxable revenue, hindi natataksa na revenue, and non-deductible expenses, hindi mo pwedeng i-deduct na expenses. Okay? Tinagalog lang natin. Pero ganun talaga, kailangan mo tagalogin itong mga bagay nito. Okay? Non-deductible expenses, hindi pwedeng i-deduct na expenses, and non-taxable income, walang tax or hindi tinataksa na revenue. Okay? Yan. Examples of these permanent differences, you have interest income on deposits. Uy, sounds familiar sa final tax. Okay? Then we have dividends received. We have life insurance premium, only non-deductible daw if beneficiary ay yung company. Ibiruin mo yung life insurance mo, nakalagay, kumbaga nagbabayad is yung company, pero nakalagay na beneficiary yung company din, di ba? Yung win-win situation, pag namatay ka, edi yung proceeds mapunta sa iyong employer. Okay, so yan, ganun. Okay, but an expense for financial reporting, tax, yan, tax penalties, surcharges, and fines, syempre non-deductible expenses siya. Parang lukulhon lang, pag ginawa mo non-deductible expenses itong mga penalties ni tax, ni BIR. Okay, yan. Let's go to temporary differences. Dito naman, this is differences between the carrying amount of the assets or liabilities in the tax base. Okay, so this includes timing differences. Ano ba yung timing differences, ma'am? Ang timing difference ang differences po is yung differences between accounting income and taxable income na nangyari in one period. Okay? Pero, ang pinagkaiba niya with permanent, ito kasi nare-reverse or in the future, kumbaga ay basta magre-reverse siya in one or more subsequent periods. Parang babalance siya in the future. Okay? Parang kahit i-declare mo siya ngayon sa taxation for tax purposes, okay? In the long run, mag-a-appear din naman siya sa computation ng accounting income. Yon, ganon yung timing differences. Okay? So, temporary differences give rise to deferred tax liability and deferred tax asset. Okay? Hopefully, nag-gets yung pinagkaiba ng temporary with permanent. Okay? Let's move on to the two types of temporary difference. We have taxable temporary difference and deductible temporary difference. Remember, ang taxable temporary po will result in future taxable amount. Okay? Future taxable amount. Ang pangit pakinggan, di ba? Future, in the future tataksan ako. Okay? Pero yung deductible temporary difference will result in future deductible amounts. Kumbaga, ngayon ako magbabayad, sure, walang problema. Kasi alam ko in the future, mababawi ko yan or madideduct siya sa akin. So, tataas ang income ko. Okay? So, parang ganun. Okay? Di ba kayo nababother na? Mainit kasi. I'm recording tanghali. Kaya, nakatapat yung electric fan. Wala akong aircon. Okay? Yan. Let's move on to the tax base. Ano ba itong tax base? Ito kasi yung ginagamit in computation for yung lahat ng kukompute natin dito sa accounting for income tax. Okay? For the asset, ang tax base mo is the amount that will be deductible for tax purposes against future income. Okay? Yung liability mo naman is the carrying amount less the amount that will be deductible for tax purposes in the future. Okay? So, yun yung mga tax base. Mahalagang alam ninyo kung ano yung tax base ng asset and liability. Okay. You can actually download sa module na naka-upload sa ating LMS. Meron ako dong nilagay na example for tax base ng asset and liability para gets ninyo kung alin yung tax base ng asset at tax base ng liability. Okay? So, you can read there and mukhang mas kompleto yung discussion ko doon sa module. Okay, kumbaga, more details in what I am discussing here. Okay, so, next, we now go to deferred tax liability. Yan, dito na tayo magtatanda ng anong pinagkaiba ng deferred tax liability with the deferred tax asset bukod sa this one is payable in future periods. Okay, so ibig sabihin, hindi mo mambayaran ngayon, for sure, in the future, magkikita kayo ni BI. Okay? Sisingilin sa'yo ni BIR yan. Yan ang ibig sabihin ng deferred tax liability. Ito po ay nangyayari kapag yung accounting income mo is mas malaki kaysa taxable income mo. Okay? Yung iyong carrying amount of the asset is mas malaki kaysa sa tax base niya. And yung carrying amount of the liability is mas maliit kaysa sa tax base niya. Tip para mas madaling tandaan. Magtanda lang kayo ng isa. Deferred tax liab or deferred tax asset. Magtanda lang kayo ng isa sa mga criteria nila. Mas sino greater than, sino less than. Para yung kabaliktaran nila, yun na yung the other one. Guess ga? Okay, for example, in my case, gusto ko sa uluhin itong deferred tax liability criteria. So, ibig sabihin, yung kabaliktaran ng lahat ng yan, yun ang deferred tax asset. O, di ba? Mas madaling sa uluhin yung ganun. Okay, anyway, it's up to you. Pero yun na may tip ko lang. Okay, yan. Next, ang deferred tax liability naman daw po ay ito ang tawag dito, when you are comparing accounting income with taxable income, you are using the income statement liability method. Okay, which is ayaw ng standard gamitin. Kasi parang mas nakakalito siyang gamitin. Okay, so, pero for the sake of discussion, let's discuss. Kailan ba nagiging mas malaki yung accounting income with taxable income? Kapag daw yung revenues and gains mo are included na in accounting income ngayon, pero taxable pa rin siya in the future. Example, installment sales. Kasi sa installment sales, basta nabuo yung transaction, na perfect yung transaction, the whole amount is recognized as revenue. Okay? Pero with taxable income kasi, gusto niya on a cash basis. So, ibig sabihin, kung ano lang yung babayaran ng client mo for this year, kasi installment payment, like for example, 5 years time, okay, yun lang yung babayaran mo kay BIR for this year. Okay, that's the reason why mas malaki ang accounting income mo kaysa sa taxable income. Okay? Next, we now go to expenses. Remember that expenses ay pabawas ng income. Okay? Pabawas siya ng income. Okay? Accelerated depreciation for tax purposes. So, kapag accelerated depreciation, we know we have double declining, 150 declining method sa accelerated. So, ibig sabihin, mas maraming expenses na dinideclare sa tax purposes. So, mas mababa siya compared with accounting income na naka-straight line lang. So, for sure, DTL yan. Okay? Then we have development costs are capitalized and amortized for future periods, but for taxation, deducted when it's paid. Okay, so alam natin yung development cost under intermediate 1B, intangible assets. Okay, siya po ay kinakapitalize and ina-amortize. Pero kay tax purposes, basta nabayaran mo na itong mga expenses mo, i-declare mo siya as expenses. So for sure, mas mababa talaga yung taxable income mo. Okay? Then, lastly, we have prepaid expense already deducted on cash bill. Yan. Kapag nag-advance payment ka, declared na yan kay BIR as expense. Okay? So, mas mababa yung iyong mas mababa talaga yung taxable income mo compared sa accounting income. Nagigets ga? Ang explanation why accounting income was higher in these instances. Okay? Next, we now go to deferred tax asset. Ito naman, bayaran mo siya ngayon. Ang ibig sabihin niya, bayaran mo siya ngayon, okay, pero marirecover mo naman siya in the future. Okay, sabi yan, income tax recoverable in future periods with respect to, diba? Okay, so, again, ang deferred tax asset, although binayaran mo siya kay BIR ngayon, okay, na parang, hindi pa naman talaga ganyan, dapat yun, hindi ganyan. Okay, pero in the future naman, mababawi mo siya. Okay, in a sense, magkaka-tax credit ka or mababawi siya ng financial statement mo. Okay, so attributable for future deductible amount and the operating loss carry forward. Yung kapag lugi ka, operating loss, kine-carry for, di ba alam niyo to sa income taxation, I don't know if nandun na kayo sa topic na yon, pero sa taxation, pag may operating loss carry forward ka, kine-carry forward siya, carry forward, okay, dinadala siya in the next years, okay, so, nagiging asset mo itong operating loss kasi, hindi ka tinataksan, okay, kaya siya ay deferred tax asset, okay, yan lang yung loss na magandang tingnan. Kasi hindi ka pinagbabayad ng tax. As in, zero kasi or negative yung iyong profit. So, yun yung NOLCO ang tinatawag. Net operating loss carryover. Okay, NOLCO. Yan. So, arises when, sabi ko, kabaliktaran lang nung discuss natin kanina. Pag mas malaki yung taxable income mo kaysa sa accounting income, pag mas malaki yung tax base ng asset mo kaysa sa carrying amount niya, and kapag yung tax base ng liability mo is mas maliit kaysa sa carrying amount niya. Okay? Sa ating module, meron dun naka-table na sadya. Okay? Para mas madaling tandaan. Okay? Yan. So, these are the instances wherein taxable income is higher than accounting income. So, kapag revenues and gains are included in the taxable income of the current period, but yan, example is rent received in advance. So, ito, ikaw nagpapaupa ng, let's say, apartment, kay yung iyong tenant, dahil ayaw na niya maabala ng 2 taon, nag-advance payment siya ng 2 taon. Ito po ay i-declare mo na kay BIR kasi naka-receive ka na ng pera. Pero alam mo sa financial accounting, ito ay ina-adjust every year end. So, mababawi mo naman siya. Okay, kahit mag-income tax expense ka this year, mababawi mo naman siya in the future periods. Diba? Okay, then expenses and losses are deducted from accounting income of current period but are deductible for tax purposes in the future periods. So, kung yung mga expenses na ating dinideclare is mas nakakapagpababa siya ng accounting income, okay? So, talagang ito ay asset mo kasi alam mong ito naman kahit binayaran mo siya kay BIR this year, okay? Maganda yung financial performance mo in the future kasi binabawi mo na or nare-reverse na yung effect niya. Okay? So, yan. So, example, you have probable and measurable litigation loss. Okay? So, in this instance, ito yung expense kasi. Okay? Alam natin kapag we are declaring for provision. Dalawa kasi yun eh. Estimated product warranty cost and probable measurable litigation loss. Diba provisions yan? Okay? With provisions, alam natin na sineset aside lang natin tong amount in case mangyari. Alam kasi nating probable mangyari. Okay? Pero wala naman talaga tayong actual na expenses na nagagastos pa. In this sense, mababa yung accounting income mo kasi naglagay ka na ng provision. Pero sa taxable income, wala kasi wala ka pa naman nagagastos. Gets? Okay? Sa research cost naman, okay, hindi po kasi ito pinapayagan ni BIR na i-deduct mo agad, okay, kapag nagsisimula pa lang yung research. Okay? So, this is pagtapos na yung research, saka siya dinideduct. This is the reason why mas malaki yung taxable income mo compared with accounting income. Kasi sa accounting income, alam nating ini-expense na talaga siya agad. Okay? Impairment loss, so, ang impairment loss, kasi wala naman kasi talagang lumelabas na pera sa kanya. So, for sure, pangit. So, for sure, okay, parang depreciation, wala siyang effect sa taxable income. Pero sa accounting income, meron. Kasi nagde-recognize tayo ng impairment loss at least annually, di ba? Okay, so yan. And then, doubtful accounts are deductible for tax purposes only kapag officially write-off na sila as worthless. Okay? So, again, sa doubtful accounts, di ba sa financial accounting natin, dinideclare, kumbaga nagsiset aside na tayo ng provision sa mga hindi makakapagbayad. Sure tayong hindi makakapagbayad. Pero for this one, sa tax purposes, saka mo lang pwede daw i-deduct kapag sure nang hindi siya magbabayad. Okay? Yan. Let's now move on to the counting. So, remember those, palatandaan kung kailan siya DTL, so future taxable amount, FTA, or future deductible amount, or FDA. Okay? Food and Drug Administration. Yan. Okay? Let's move on to the accounting procedures. Again, yung diniscuss natin kanina is regarding sa timing differences. Okay? Yan. The first procedure in accounting for this, you have to determine taxable income. Actually, pag ginamit mo na tong table na to, okay, dire-diretso ka na sa hanggang step 4. Okay, pero isa-isahin natin. The first one, you determine taxable income. Doon ka muna sa left side ko. Okay, left side ko. Pre-tax income or accounting profit, hanapin mo muna. Then, add ka ng non-deductible expense, that's permanent difference, and less non-taxable income. Okay? So, less mo siya. Okay? Ma'am, bakit ina-add ang non-deductible? Kaya nga siya non-deductible, hindi mo pwedeng i-minus or hindi mo pwedeng i-deduct, diga? So, i-add mo siya. Ang less naman non-taxable income, bakit mo isasama? Hindi nga siya tataksan. Gets. Okay. Yan. Then, we have accounting profit subject to tax pag finot mo na siya. Pag minultiply mo siya sa tax rate, sa current tax rate, okay, makukuha mo yung income tax expense. Ganun kabilis pag ginamit mo tong ano. Okay, then, let's now consider the temporary differences. Less ka ng taxable temporary difference. Deduction po yon. Okay? And then, add ka na ng deductible temporary difference. Okay? Pag minultiply mo sila, kita mo sa table, okay? Pag minultiply mo yung taxable temporary, makukuha mo yung DTL, okay? Deferred tax liability. Future, future enacted rate ang gamit. Yung isa kasi current tax rate. Okay, future enacted rate yon. And then, yung deductible temporary difference, pag minultiply mo sa future tax rate, makukuha mo yung deferred, sorry, hindi siya DTA ha. Deferred tax, tama pala. Nalito na, deferred tax asset. Okay, yan. Okay? And then, makukuha mo na, on the left side, makukuha mo na, pag minus mo yung temporary differences, yung taxable profit. Pag multiply mo siya sa current rate, okay, makukuha mo yung current tax expense. Okay? And then, sa kabilang side, actually, kayang-kaya mo siyang kunin yung current tax expense kung given ka lang ng income tax expense, DTL at DTA. Very shortcut. Okay? So, yan. So, yan, step 2. Determine the taxable temporary differences. Ginawa natin kanina. Okay, DTL is equal to your future taxable amount times future tax rate. Ito yung sabi ko sa inyo kanina. Okay? And the journal entry for this is income tax expense, credit deferred tax liability. Nakalimutan kong banggitin ang when you are actually getting the income tax expense, debit income tax expense, credit income tax payable. Okay? Next. Determine the deductible temporary differences. You have DTA is equal to FDA times future tax rate. Your journal entry is deferred tax debit, then credit income tax benefit or income tax expense. Okay? So, depende sa company kung anong gamit nila. Okay? Then we have determine the total income tax expense. Kanina ginawa na natin. Okay? So, the tax expense is the aggregate amount included in the determination of profit or loss. Ang composition niya po is the current tax expense plus increases in DTL less increases in DTA is equal to your income tax expense, okay? Or the ITE. Yan. Okay? Pero kung ako sa inyo, gamitin nyo na lang itong table na to. Mas madali siyang intindihin. Okay? Yan. We have two methods of accounting. Binanggit ko na sa inyo kanina, yung income tax statement approach or income statement approach or the income statement liability approach, wherein yung timing differences yung kanyang focus lang. Okay? Yung isa, yung statement of financial position or the balance sheet liability approach, parehas temporary differences, including timing differences, ang kino-consider niya. Kaya mas preferred siyang gamitin ni PFRS. Okay? So, the income statement liability method or yung income statement approach, this focuses only on time differences lang, okay, in computation of DTL and DTA, okay. Ang balance sheet liability method or the statement of financial position approach, nagpo-focus siya in getting the differences between the carrying amounts of assets and liabilities in their respective tax bases. Okay? So, pag future taxable amount or taxable temporary differences, again, yung kanina binanggit ko, the carrying amount of the asset is higher than the tax base. Kapag yung carrying amount of the liability is lower than the tax base, is a future taxable amount. And kabaliktaran nun, future deductible amount. Okay? Ganun lang. Formulas to be used under balance sheet liability method. You have carrying amount of the asset at initial recognition, less ka ng tax base of the asset. Okay? It will result to the increase or decrease which you will multiply in the future tax rate. You will get a deferred tax liability or asset. Kapag naman yung liability ang tinetest mo, carrying amount of the liability at initial recognition, less tax base of the liability, makukuha mo yung increase or decrease, multiply it by future tax rate, you'll get the deferred tax asset or liability. Okay, yan po ay kapag parang in my case ginagamit ko yun as a last resort. Kasi madali namang i-analyze yung problem kapag gets mo yung alin yung greater than less than. Okay? Ito ay last resort mo na. Okay? As kapag nalilito ka na. Okay? Now, the operating loss carry forward, again, this is an excess of tax deduction over gross income in a year that may be carried over to reduce taxable income. Yan. Kasi nga, masyado nang marami yung iyong deductions to the point na wala na talagang matira for taxable profit. Okay, pwede mo naman siyang i-carry over next year. Okay, excess of tax deduction over gross income in a year. Okay, so in that case, nag-negative kasi. So, carry forward mo next year, wala ka pa rin babayaran tax. Kaya, this is a future deductible amount. Okay? Yan. Last, I believe this is last. Yeah. Presentation of the DTA and DTL. Remember that they are non-current. Ma'am, kahit 1 year, na isa-settle na itong DTA, DTL? Yes, according to standard, they are non-current. Okay? And should not be discounted. Hindi siya discounted. Offsetting of DTA and DTL is generally not allowed, pero may exemption. Okay, generally hindi allowed, pero pwede daw kapag the DTA and DTL relate to income taxes levied by the same tax authority. Parehas. Sino nga tax authority? Marami naman tax authority. Okay? BIR, kaya ay, may LGU pa, ha? Okay, so you have the BIR, you have the LGU, taxing authority, magkaiba. Okay? Entity has a legal enforceable right to set off a current tax asset against a current tax liability. Binigyan siya ng legal enforceable right, okay, by contract or by the courts, na sige, pwede. Okay, or ng BIR mismo. Okay, meron ka gang extrang DTAD yan, siya, sige, ano mo na lang yung DTL mo dyan, offset mo na lang dyan. Okay, ito, pirmahan natin to bilang patunay na pumayag ako as RDO sa gagawin mo. Okay. Then you have intra-period and inter-period. Wala, pinagkaiba lang ng dalawa. Ang intra-period is where the income tax expense ay allocated mo sa various revenues na nag-brought about sa kanyang as pagiging tax. May ibig sabihin, on the period na dineclare mo yung revenues sa financial statement. Okay, for example, from tawag din yung mga installment sales, okay? At nire-recognize mo na yung respective tax for that, intra-period yon. Pero kapag nire-recognize mo siya as deferred tax asset or deferred tax liability, it's what you call inter-period. Okay, yung ginagawa natin pagko-compute ng DTL and DTA, that is inter-period allocation of these taxes. Okay? And yun lamang po ang aking discussion. Napakaikli. Hopefully, napakaikli. Hopefully, naintindihan nyo din. Okay, this topic requires you to practice problems na medyo kailangan you analyze kung ano magiging effect niya sa accounting income at taxable income as both income and expense. Okay? Respectively. Okay? Pero I will be giving naman the guided exercises, the solutions for the guided exercise para naman you are makita mo kung paano ko sagutin or isolve siya as a professor. Okay, so yun lamang po. If you do have any questions, kindly message me. Okay, sige na. Bye everyone!